Hi, everyone. I'm actually going to take over. I'm not too sure exactly what's happened with Jen, but let's just proceed because I know everyone's time is very valuable. So we actually have two fantastic speakers today. We've got Farzan from AWS and Michael from Lysart. So today Farzan's going to be talking about the AWS Comfort Edge range, its background, the different series that have been released so far, and a sneak peek about the new upcoming series of the family. And Michael's face probably will seem very familiar because he was a part of the recent one-day event of Raising the Roof. And today, Michael's going to give a quick talk about Permalite with an emphasis on being on the residential market applications. So talking of Raising of the Roof, if you didn't get a chance to watch this amazing event, which was all about everything relating specifically to roofing, for all the BDAA members, I recommend that you log into the website and you can rewatch that content at your leisure. I was just looking at my messages. It looks as if Jen's just trying to log back in, so she'll just be a moment to be able to take over. But just while Jen is logging back on, I could perhaps just give you a quick update on the events that we've got coming up. So next Wednesday, we have WeatherTech Wednesday. And this month, WeatherTech is actually going to be bringing in their technical guy. So if you have a current project that you're working with and you have any technical questions specific to your project, pull all those together and log in next Tuesday at 2 p.m. and you'll be able to ask your particular questions. So once I've finished here, I'll be able to put that link in the chat for you so you can connect to that particular event. Then we have Debbie Butte from Energy Inspection. Now she's a NATERS accredited assessor, and she's going to be giving a presentation on the 16th of March at 1 o'clock, and she's going to be covering everything relating to BERS Pro. So this will give you a better understanding of how the Cheneth engine works in the background with the BERS Pro and what is actually taken into account in the software for each simulation. She'll be able to also talk about the BERS Pro. Oh, hi, Jen. The BERS Pro beta version, the new climate files, the new occupancy loads, the new area of correction area and a star bands. She'll also be talking about how BERS is working to gain endorsement for the whole of house and the new functionality of the latest version, which is 4.4.1.4. Okay, so Jen, can I hand it back to you?
You certainly can.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah Jane. Okay, I'm not sure. Forgive me if I'm covering ground that Sarah Jane's already covered while I was absent. My internet just dropped out. We've got the BDAA Design Awards for 2022 opening soon. So in order for you all to put your best designs forward this year, we've got a great webinar lined up that you're going to want to attend. We're bringing together a selection of experts to assist with curating the best awards submissions. So there's going to be presentations from a copywriter, a photographer and a panel judged with what they're looking for to select winners. So the event is on Wednesday, March 23rd at 1 p.m. and Sarah Jane's going to put a link in the chat box for that. We've also got the BDAA podcast launching in April. So if you'd like to be interviewed or want to participate on the podcast, please register your interest. And Sarah Jane will also put a link up for that podcast in the chat now. For all of our BDAA members, if you would like to have a case study written about one of your projects for inclusion into the next edition of the By Design magazine, please send your initial details to Sarah Jane at media@bdaa.com.au and she'll be in touch to make arrangements for a journalist to contact.
This is a true tag team system today. So I'm just going to continue on just while Jen tries and gets her camera back up and going. So now I'd actually like to hand it over to Farzan. So he's from AWS. I actually just need to move Farzan from an attendee to a panelist, but Jen looks as if she's back. Okay.
You've probably got a more stable internet connection today. I think this is the problem with online, isn't it? Are you introducing Farzan?
No, you can.
Okay. Welcome. Have we got you online? So Farzan's going to be talking about AWS Comfort Edge product, which is a new series that he's going to be talking about its background and the different series that have been released so far, with a sneak peek of the new upcoming series of the family. I can see that Farzan's logging on. Welcome, Farzan. Nice to see you.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you. Nice to see you too.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me now? Oh,
yep.
Because I've been. Yeah, it should be fine now, I think.
It's maybe just dropped out for a second there. We'll let you know if there's any.
No, it's good now. Okay.
Okay, lovely. I'll hand over to you.
Fantastic. So thanks, Jennifer, thanks, Sarah Jane, and thanks, BDAA, for having us again. In this meeting, I'm going to share my screen. And Sarah Jane, please let me know if everything is fine and you can see my screen. Can you confirm?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
We're having one of those.
I think we're going to be playing today,
aren't we?
What about now?
There we go. We just need to start the slideshow because we're seeing the full screen.
Should be the full screen now.
That's it. Perfect. You're ready to go.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks again, Jennifer, Sarah Jane, and BDAA members to having us today. So today we're going to have a very quick presentation about one of our new series, Comfort Edge, which I'm quite sure many of building designers are aware of that because we have been working close together. Sorry, I can't see my screen myself. It should be fine now. Okay, yeah. So the purpose of this session is to give a sneak peek of the new sliding door from Comfort Edge, which is going to be released to the market soon. Comfort Edge is a relatively new system solution that we released at the very start of COVID, which has been very popular so far. And it has been developed and progressed by our R&D department until now to complete the range. But why Comfort Edge? Now, in a simple term, Comfort Edge is a very affordable alternative to thermally broken systems for residential applications. But to give an accurate answer to this question, we will need to look back and review the evolution of energy efficient provisions and see what happened during the past couple of years. So for that, I've prepared this as energy efficient, let's say, provision since 2000, but we'll need to start since 1995. Back in 1995, AWS introduced our popular Vantage residential series, which brought innovative performance and design features in the residential market. In a blink of an eye, in the year 2000, we had announcement of energy efficiency in the BCA. First time that building industry in Australia started to get serious about energy performance. 3 years later, in 2003, we introduced a range of high-performance commercial suites under the brand of Elevate, which again, I'm sure many of you are aware of because it has been a popular one. Brought a high-performance, energy-efficient framing solution for both residential and commercial buildings. Then in 2006, 5-star rating created, expecting we were expecting 6 stars to be introduced in 2010, and our response was the thermally broken frames under the brand of Thermal Hard. And this is 2009, before the 6-star requirements. The commercial Thermal Hard offered 2 years later in 2011 and the expansion in 2016. So every year, as you can see, standards are getting tighter, but the demand for making a house built with more expensive is definitely not on anyone's agenda, especially with this condition of the market, as everyone is struggling with the rise of costs and let's say unforeseen circumstances that apply to the market and its conditions. So everyone is trying to minimizing the cost. So just around 3 years ago, we had arrival of considerably stricter commercial regulations, which is planned to shake up soon. And as everyone knows, going to implement it on residential market also. So until this time, thermal hard was the main response from us. So let's have a quick look at this video about thermally broken system. So basically, thermal hard is a thermally broken frame, features a reinforced polyamide strip, which is mechanically locked in between the inside and outside of aluminum profiles, creating an insulated barrier within the window frame. The reinforced polyamide strip is a very poor conductor of energy, in contrast with aluminum, of course, reducing the transfer of heat or cool through the frame. In simple terms, thermally broken is to aluminum what double glazing is to glass. So we should expect higher prices. Now, there was a gap in the market. People who wanted to use high energy performance window and door systems for their buildings, but facing cost limitations. And here is where our great minds within our research and development in AWS did their best and came up with something that didn't require a thermal break, but it still gave similar thermal performance without the extra cost. So this 3D render perfectly shows the concept of comfort edge and its finished detail. So fundamentally, we got the frame embedded into the reveal, and that will help us to get so many good outcomes, especially for the energy performance. And look what happens internal and out. So basically, we have minimized the aluminum exposure, giving us a better look, and of course, a better energy performance. Now, this video shows how this concept works. As I said, by reducing the amount of actual exposed aluminum internally, we minimize the loss of energy. And this is why when you look at this video, we're showing hardly any exposed aluminum on the inside. This is about the window system of comfort edge. So not only better energy figures, but a much cleaner look from the inside. More glass, more light, more amazing views. And the question is, who is comfort edge for? Mostly residential buildings to achieve minimal look, low cost, and high energy performance. So far, we have introduced the sliding window 753 and the awning version 755 with an amazing U values. As you can see on the sliding window, we could get the U value from 2.6 to 3.6. Another awning window from 1.9, which is amazing, which is an amazing number for a residential product, to 2.8. Has been very popular in the market. However, it was only Windows systems, and that was one of the, let's say, barriers that we were facing, because the door was not out there, and still it's not, but hopefully you're going to have. But now we have another addition to this range, or this family, AWS Series 759. Bottom rolling, the top and bottom rails and jambs stars are concealed in the frame to improve the thermal performance by reducing the amount of aluminum as discussed. And look at this amazing cost-effective door system, which to me doesn't look cost-effective anymore, but this is going to be considered as our residential series. Some of the facts about this system, as I said, it's just a sneak peek, just a very general quick view over this sliding door. We will definitely have a more detailed version of presentation about this door, but for BDAA members and to the market, this is the very first time that we are talking about this sliding door. So some of the facts, maximum panel height, 3 meters, with maximum panel width of 2 meters, single and double glazed versions with maximum glass thickness of 24 millimeter. Large sliding doors can be fabricated in high wind load areas. As you can see, the maximum water is 400 Pascal. And door configurations can span up to 19 meters. And of course, it has been tested to AS2047, like many other of AWS products. Some other amazing features of this sliding door, stainless steel flat running track for high exposure areas and to have wide spans. There is an optional heavy duty bottom rail track system and extra wide openings up to 19 meters wide with the help of having flexibility of configurations of up to 5 tracks, as you can see here. Now, with the upcoming berth to 759 sliding door, we are going to have a full range, or let's say a near full family of Comfort Edge, which, as you can see in this slide, it can offer you some door and window systems that can help you get U values of starting 2.2 in sliding doors, 1.9 in awning window, and 2.6 in the sliding window, which I'm quite sure everyone can admit that these numbers in the past were hardly could be met with thermally broken systems with a very high costs. But now we are offering something in the residential frames with all these amazing numbers. What we're hoping is to meet all these new requirements in the market from energy perspective. And I think these numbers are really promising, hoping that it can help the market and help the building designers to get what they want. That is the end of the Comfort Edge. This new series is not replacing Thermal Hard as I discussed, just making a more affordable product. Of course, Thermal Hard allows for larger spans, whereas the Comfort Edge gets similar energy figures. We should see and compare it in the residential applications, which I think comparing to the market, it's a very good option. And that's the end of this presentation. This is the pathway. I just wanted to share this beautiful photo with you. This is the pathway looking at Anzac Bridge, my favorite pathway to walk in the evenings. I'm sure all of us are grateful to have the chance to live in such a beautiful country with all these amazing views. So it will be great to bring these amazing views in our homes with choosing the right products and solutions, which all these series of presentations with BDAA are all about the same thing, not only from AWS, but I'm sure from all other Australian companies. You can see my contact details, give me a call, or my colleagues to have a chat about our new solutions, and AWS can offer nice coffees while we are catching up.
I do love a good coffee. Thanks so much, Farzan. I'm actually going to take over the rest of the meeting. Unfortunately, Jen's Wi-Fi has gone a bit haywire at the moment. So we do actually have a few questions.
Sure.
I've got the first one. Matt has asked, AWS always talks about energy and thermal performances, but another popular subject these days is about the plunge and the rise of the cost of building materials. Does this new product have a response to any of these concerns?
Very good question. Actually, this energy concerns, I mean, everyone in the industry were considering climate change, Paris agreements, and all these effects to the market. And we were all expecting the rise of energy expectation. But no one were expecting these, let's say, unforeseen situations like COVID, or as you know, unfortunately these days, all this political chaos all around the world that, let's say, affected on oil price and many other things financially, that eventually added up to the costs of building materials. So now there is a dilemma here, a bit, I mean, for end users. Either they want to go with low cost, low quality building materials, or if they want to spend all their savings and to get products that can meet all these new energy requirements. In a nutshell, Comfort Edge is the response from AWS to offer a third solution. And that third solution is having a, let's say, a low cost or a cost-effective material which can meet all these energy performance requirements. And I think with this climate of the market, there isn't any other way for any other company to resist, but to be able to provide, let's say, such solutions. So yeah, you're right. We've been always talking about the energy performance, energy requirements, and how important it is, which obviously it is based on all the concerns about climate changes. But at the same time, cost has been one of the things that we have started to think about and reconsider all these things by some, I would say, maybe smart solutions as the designers of all these products do, which again, as I'm quite sure all of the companies have the same agenda.
Yes, Farzan, it's a lot of concerns happening around the world at the moment, and prices are increasing. So it's good to see that AWS is actually addressing that. We do have a few other questions in the chat as well. Paul has asked, interested to know about the condensation. Even if the frame is concealed, it might be subject to internal moisture and create internal condensation that may go unnoticed. Do you have any comment on that?
I don't have any, no, actually, I'm not sure about how the condensation might be affected, but I'm more than happy to check that with our R&D department, and that's a very good question for me as well.
Okay, thanks, Paul. So if we can just take that question on notice, and we'll come back with a response to you via email. Sure. Another question from Craig. How have the U values been assessed? It seems as though the aluminium embedded into the window reveal has been omitted for assessment. Was this the case?
Sarah Jane, you're breaking up. Can you?
Sorry, Farzan, the questions are actually in the Q&A. I don't know if it's easier for you to actually...
Yeah, I can hear you now. Let me just...
Okay, sure. So Craig has said, how are the U values being assessed? It seems as though the aluminium embedded into the window reveal has been omitted for assessment. Was this the case?
Well, actually, based on AS2047 and the test regime, you will give the testing based on the frame that has been installed on the let's say actual building envelope, let's say, or the condition that can be installed there. So this reveal, I mean, just to let you know, this system comes as a single and double reveal, and all these test results are available to share. But based on AS2047, like I said, the system is tested like it has been, like it's going to be installed in the final building envelope. And of course, that reveal is helping to reducing that U value as well.
Thank you. Michael has also said, just looking at this, it seems as if the whole building system and not just the window. Just wondering about installation timeframes and therefore increased costs associated.
That's another very good question, and another good, let's say, aspect of Comfort Edge. Installation of Comfort Edge has been reduced by the number of hours and workmanship that it requires. So in comparison with a system of us like 704 FPR, which is another flush bottom rolling system from AWS, Comfort Edge requires much less time to be installed because of all its details, which I'm more than happy to bring those installation details for the next presentation that we're going to have, which will be all about all these details. But as a short answer, that is another way that is reducing the cost of Comfort Edge because of all these installation details.
I just want to circle back to another question that Craig had. So this was the question in relation to the U values.
Yes.
And we just added another element to that, just to say, but the hidden aluminium is still within the internal envelope unless it is over insulated. Any comment on that or further point to note on that?
Well, my understanding from that question is, correct me if I'm wrong, if the test has been done with the let's say reveals or without, if that was the question I got.
Yeah, so the initial question was, how have the U values been assessed? It seems as though the aluminium embedded into the window reveal has been omitted from the assessment. Was this the case? And then the second element of that is, but the hidden aluminium is still within the internal envelope unless it's over insulated.
Well, that's again another good question that I need to check prior to give any let's say answer. I will need to check the testing regime of that, or let's say the testing conditions for that. But that's a very good question. I can definitely check that and come back to you.
Okay, Craig, could we also take that question on notice, and we'll come back to you as well? There's just been a note in the chat, which I just want to make sure that this was captured. How does the cost of Comfort Edge compare to the thermal broken I suppose that's aluminium? Are they, say, 25% cheaper?
Well, it's hard to provide any let's say percentage, but it's significantly cheaper. The reason I'm saying it's hard to provide because it has many different aspects or many different other hardwares and let's say elements associated with these products that we need to consider those ones when we're comparing these two. But that is a good subject, which I can make a comparison when you're presenting the actual, let's say, sliding door in our next session, or when we're going to announce that. I can make a comparison between, let's say, an apple-to-apple price with the similar glasses, similar hardwares, to show you somehow a percentage difference between these two. I can't provide any number right now, but the change, I mean, like the difference is significant.
Okay, great. Well, you do have a lot of work to get to. We've got 2 questions on notice. And then, as Farzan said, AWS is doing a second presentation, I want to say 25th of March. No, that can't be correct. I'll come back to you, but there is another presentation which is also booked in which Farzan can then reveal all these additional bits and pieces as well. So we've just got one further question with regards to the awning windows, a very poor ventilation. Why are window companies still advocating for awning windows?
Well, I mean, different types of windows are really depends on the design, demand in the market, which for both of them, awning windows is really popular these days as well. In many of the cases, I mean, I agree, it's not the best solution for ventilation, but there are other aspects associated, which I'm quite sure building designers have better answers for that. But one of them could be at the places that there isn't any, let's say, there's not enough space to operate that window as a sliding version or as even a double hung. So awning system in many of the cases are a good response when there is not enough space, or aesthetically when the designer decided not to having the whole window system opened. Or also at some of the educational facilities, which for safe for kids requirements, we will need to make sure that you're not going to have a wide opening. And for that, awning system, again, is a very good response and very good solution. So in regards to ventilation, yes, I agree. It might be not the best solution for ventilation, but for many other requirements, such as educationals or the other ones that we've discussed, I think awning system is a good, or could be a good solution. And that is the reason probably the market is demanding for that.
Thanks, Farzan. We've just got one more question. Peter has just said that he has awning windows in his house and the ventilation is perfectly adequate and he can have them even open in the rain, and he often specifies them on new houses. Well, that's actually quite good because that's all we're having lately is rain, isn't it? So it's good to hear.
Exactly. And I have the same experience here as well. I have a good awning window. Yeah.
Julie has also just said, just circling back to the awning windows, she has a house that has no eaves overhung over a window, but the window location is in the cross breeze of the house. The advantage of this window is that when it's raining, it doesn't come in. Which
exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. If there's no further questions, we'd like to thank you very much for your time today, Farzan. I'm sorry we had those technical difficulties at the very beginning, but we're all on track now and we look forward to you circling back to us with those few questions that we've got on notice. Absolutely. And comparing those comparisons as well. That'd be great. So thank you very much. Great. Thanks very much, Farzan.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. I have 2 questions to cut back to you and one more thing to get back to the next presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Okay, so now we actually have Michael Garnes up next. He's from Lysart. He's going to be talking about aluminium roofing. You would all be familiar with Michael if you attended the roofing event that took place last week. There was a few questions in the chat just requesting access to that particular recording. If you are a BDAA member, you do have full access to all of those events that took place, and I will ensure that I send out an email that has a copy of the pitch deck that each of the presenters gave, as well as a copy of the recording for that particular presentation as well. So let me just move Michael across to become a presenter. Hi, Michael, how are you?
Good. Now, just making sure before I click my start the video, I share the screen first, then hit the start video, or the other way around?
Either is fine.
We'll see how we go.
Okay, great. So just while Michael is just getting his system ready, I just wanted to put a couple of questions up on the screen, which are from Lysart. And that's the first one is, have you actually heard of permalite? So I'm just going to launch that poll onto the screen now. If you wouldn't mind just answering that for us. And Michael, at the moment, we don't have your presentation in presenter view. It's just in standard PowerPoint.
I'll try. Here we go. Still the same?
Yeah, still the same. Just down in the bottom corner near the volume button, just one back. Yes, that one there. Just click on that one. One to the right. Yes, that one.
There we go.
There we go. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm just going to share that results on the screen. Sorry about that, everyone. So in that particular poll, we just wanted to know, have you actually heard of permalite? And let's just say we've got a 50-50 result there. 47% said yes, 53% said no. So that's the results on the screen at the moment. I'm just going to do the second poll now, if that suits you, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. We just wanted to know, how many projects have you worked on in the corrosive environment in the past 2 years? If you wouldn't mind just completing that. The benefit of just completing these polls is that we can ensure that the content that we're presenting to you is relevant. And if there's something that needs to be drilled down further in, we can get those insights by these polls.
Okay. Back again.
I'm very quick on the trigger with the polls. So these are the results here. And we'll leave the last question till the end, and I'll just let you get presenting, Michael, and we'll come back if we've got time. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I hope everybody can see my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay, righto. Basically, thanks for inviting me back. It's mainly this is going to be a more review presentation based on the residential aspect of Permalite, which I think in what you're looking for is more into that aspect. So we will give you hopefully it all works. We're going to start. There we go. Clicking it'll work. Okay. Basically, the company profile, Permalite's been part of the Australian market for over 40 years. BlueScope Steel purchased the business in 2004, and basically that's where it's eventuated coming to that aspect. Most of the time, up until about 3 years ago, Permalite had their own sales people promoting the product. Lysart was in the background, but now we are fully promoting and selling the product throughout Australia. Basically, when this part of it is just more of a get you talking about our ideas. Typical corrosive environments. When we think of corrosive environments, we usually think of marine influence, calm and surf, water treatment, storage, and aquatic centres. Get this out. And basically, this, whoops, okay, sorry. I'm just trying to get this out of the road. Bear with me for a second, that's better. This here is basically what is corrosion and how does it impact steel structures? Well, corrosion is basically oxidation, atmospheric oxidation of metals, in other words, basically rusting. It creates a new layer that could be either good or bad. By far the worst is rusting of iron and steel, which is where the rust really comes from, and you get the reddish brown crust and it goes over and it keeps on going, and you can't really stop it once it starts. And basically the life of a building is significantly affected by its environment. Warranty periods are reduced or nullified depending on how close you are to the salt or that in particular environment. Right. But basically here is some example of corrosion in buildings. This particular one here, the Lennox Head one, it was an environment. It was basically, it's only 8 years old. It was only 200 metres from the beach. And the reason for the corrosion you can see on the picture on the left-hand side on the roof was the salt water, wind-borne salt water spray started to oxidise on the gutter line and continually then drip down onto the lower roof, and then consequently corrosion occurs. The next one shows you on the Sunshine Beat unit, which is 6 years old. Again, this was high up in an escarpment, as you can see in the picture, but it was within 200 metres of the ocean. The product used here was imported product, wasn't like a BlueScope product. It was called HBS 200, which was imported from the UK. So basically it had the salt build up from the underside and continuation on the patio and the coating penetrations, the screw fixings, and away it went. The bottom two were basically in North Stradbroke Island, with around about 15 years old. In this aspect, this was actually Colorbond Ultra. You think, a lot of people think Ultra would work, but it won't work in this environment too close to the salt water. And the prevailing winds deposited the salt spray along the gutter line, and consequently started to eat up the roof, and away it went from there. So the best practices for corrosive environments is, if possible, modify the environment to remove any corrosive aspect, the use of protective metallic or organic coatings, provide adequate ventilation and drainage to minimise the accumulation of condensation, which I think is the real talking point at the moment, is the air getting trapped underneath and no ventilation to let it to breathe. Avoid depressed areas where drainage is inadequate, in other words, ponding or the sheet, if the low pitch roof, try and keep it a little bit higher if possible. Avoid the use of abrasive absorbent materials such as felt and fabrics in contact with metal surfaces. You basically prepare the surfaces adequately prior to the application of any protective coating system and provide easy access for the purpose of inspection and maintenance work over a period of time, which is very important. And basically, I'm here just to highlight again, the best way to prevent corrosion is correct material selection, or and if possible, change to a more suitable material at the design and specification stage. What makes aluminium the best solution for most corrosive environments? You know, aluminium does oxidize more readily than iron, but the oxidized form of a coating that protects the metal from further attack, making aluminium a better selection for a product that will be exposed to environmental corrosive conditions. Generally, all our material is made out of marine grade, alloys such as 5052 and 5251, because they have the excellent corrosive resistance. This, I think, is a highlight here, exactly what I was talking about. You look on the far right-hand side, it has salt water right 0 metres, then 100 metres back, 200 and 1 kilometre back. This is where you really need to understand what, at the design stage, what you will expect when it's completed as in regards a warranty. Ultra steel or colour-bond steel can be used within a kilometre of salt water. Ultra steel will give you an indicative warranty of 20 years, and an indicative cost is around about $46 a square metre. Colour-bond steel will give you 15 years, and the cost factor is $26 a square metre. So it is a lot more economical than ultra. When it's a kilometre back, it's adequate. When you go within 200 metres, it then reduces the warranty period. Ultra will reduce by 5 years. Colour-bond steel takes 5 years off. Aluminium in this environment, you will get 40 years. The cost factor does increase to $64 a square metre, but it is more efficient in regards to the longevity of the project. The next one is 100 metres. Again, it's reduced by 5 years for your ultra. Steel should not be used at all. The one here is called Super Dura steel, which is the new name for stainless. It has a maximum expectancy of 25 years, but the cost factor is about $120 a square metre. When you compare that to aluminium, it gets you 25 years, but the cost factor is basically nearly 50% lower. And again, we're within right on the ocean. It's 25 years for aluminium, and again, and it gives you $64 a square metre. This is really important to understand before you get it to the out to building stage. This next couple of slides is basically standard technical or frequently asked questions I get asked. Is aluminium as strong as steel? The short answer is no. However, we provide the product thickness is adjusted to counteract this. So, for example, the base thickness of standard colour-bond steel is 0.42 millimetres or 0.48. You compare that to aluminium, which is either 0.7, 0.9 or 1.2 mil thick. This combined with the temper hardness of H38 of the alloy enables the aluminium sheeting to be extremely strong and withstand loads generated within the most severe environments conditions in Australia. Another question we get asked, does painting the aluminium assist in corrosion resistance? The answer to this is basically yes, to an extent. The durability and corrosion resistance of the Permalite product range is due to the chemical composition of the aluminium and its ability to oxidise and protect itself, otherwise self-sacrificing part of the component. This is what differentiates aluminium from other products which rely on a coating to deliver the protection. You'll get some people will say, oh, I'll give you 20 micro, extra paint on it, that'll protect it. It doesn't, because the base metal is still where it attacks. However, saying that in certain environments, the aluminium is in direct contact with the corrosive paint material. A paint finish can assist in creating a contact barrier and assisting in the durability. What colours are available? This slide here will show you the 6 main colours we have. These are all painted by BlueScope Steel. These colours this coil is actually painted at the same paint line that we do our standard Colorbond range. This happens to be at Erskine Park in Sydney. So these are the basic colour range. They all use super polymer polyester paints, which have an outstanding colour and gloss retention characteristics. So these paint systems are extensively tested to Australia's most tough environment. The next slide will show you the Colorbond name. So Glacier White, for example, on this slide will give you the equivalent of surf mist. Sahara is Dune. Moonshadow Wind Spray, Gold Grey is Shale Grey. Slate Grey is Woodland. Obelisk Grey is Monument. And Duro Green is Pale Eucalyptus. The reason for the Permalite name being different, because it's not Colorbond steel, BlueScope don't register that as aluminium Colorbond surf mist. It's classified as registered brand name Glacier White, just so we don't, it just keeps us apart and then doesn't confuse with imported products. The bottom right-hand side shows you some other colours that can be sourced depending on the quantity and so forth. Mill finish is basically natural finish, and stucco and emboss, those particular ones do have a slight problem. We can produce it, but it will have issues in regards to specific requirements when you deliver and storage the material. It's no different to storing zinc aluminum or gal sheeting plain on site. The life cycle, BlueScope Permalite life cycle information, this slide overviews this. It includes the whole construction, use of the material, maintenance and disposal. Material which is, can be easily recycled and economically and will not require landfill disposal, should be preferred. And basically Permalite fits exactly into this whole aspect. It has an approximate life expectancy of 30 to 40 years. But in reality, you'll get a 25-year warranty. In some aspects, we'll give a 40-year warranty, which in reality gives you 50 to 60 years for that particular product on a building. This here, like I said, an aluminium is 100% recyclable and only uses 5% of the energy used to make the original product. There is other data which I can provide if required. This next couple of slides will show you I've selected the residential options in the Permalite range. The first one is Waveline. Waveline is like is basically custom wool. It comes in two widths, which will be either 990 wide or 762. Majority of our projects are 990 wide purely because it's a larger coil mass to start with. But it gives you the corrugated look that people are looking for, and it gives you peace of mind and longevity over the product. The next product we have is LT7. LT7 is a trapezoidal type profile, similar to a Colorbond range called Spandeck or something in that regards. Again, it has a cover width, which gives you longevity and maintenance. It gives up, it's been used in the coal industry for in excess of 30 years as a cladding, as well as a roof, and also can be curved. It comes in the standard Permalite colours, as well as in 0.7, 0.9 and 1.2 thick material. It also can be crimp curved down to a 500 metre radius. These are here are commercial applications. This is showing actually a mill finish project. Accessories for rainwater goods and flashings. There is a complete range available to complement the range of our products for the residential market. These are all made out of aluminium. The flashings and the rainwater goods themselves, the gutter and so forth, is out of 0.8 aluminium. And all the fixings we use are generally 316 grade stainless. We also have 304, but 99% of what we supply are 316, and they're all sourced from Buildex ITW, and they can be then painted to match the roof structure colour. There also comes with cyclonic plate, which is the third one down on the right hand side. That's used in conjunction with Waveline or custom wall. This shows you here some gutters. This particular top one is a quad low front gutter, and the bottom one is a half round. And again, the image is a bit distorted, but it basically shows you a gable roll and a roll top ridge, flashings and so forth, which will match up to your profiles. The item 3 on that slide is an infill strip, which theoretically should be used at the gutter line to just have a barrier between the roof sheet and the support underneath. Some other basic informations to think about when you're looking or specifying or inspecting projects. Isolation of dissimilar metals, as I mentioned before, galvanized steel, zinc, lead and copper, so forth, should under no circumstances be in contact with aluminium, nor should you allow the water discharge from those materials to discharge onto aluminium, because it will have a reaction. Basically, to avoid it, to avoid, if possible, unseasoned or chemically treated timber, especially treated pine, which has arsenic in it, which will leach out. And also cement, which has the lime aspect, again, will make a corrosion issue. The other part of it is the face of the dissimilar metals, where the support is fastened, should have an isolating tape showing it here on the right-hand side. They put that across and it just gives you an extra protective barrier. If you have any questions about this, just seek advice from our technical people. We'll be able to assist. This here just shows a brief pitfalls. Water stain, what I mentioned before, mill finish and stucco are susceptible to water staining if storage packed. They're stored wet when they arrive on site. So it's like zinc loom or even gut. When you get them on site, you should break open the sheet packs to allow the moisture that's trapped in there to get out and allow it to breathe. If you don't, you will get what we call blue blush, which is a weird way of doing it, but it shows on this profiles on the side there, they're like a white. That's what it will happen, and you can't get. It's very hard to eliminate it out of the off the sheets. And the other one is the incorrect use of the proper stainless steel fasteners can also create issues going forward if they're not used correctly. The next few slides will show you aluminium in use. This one here is LT7 on a project at Newcastle. It's about 20 metres from breaking surf, and it was back in 2013 on a wall. And no issues whatsoever, still adequate and still working today. This is a surf house, LT7 sprung curved. Again, installed in 2012, still working, no problems at all. These here are glacier white Waveline on a residential re-roof, due to the steel that was already used, only lasted 8 years before it started to perforate. So that was replaced with permalloy aluminium. This is within a Wollongong, a glacier white Waveline curve rolled on 400 metre radius, as well as straight sheets. Again, another surf life saving club. This happens to have LT7 on it at Newcastle. This happens to be at a project in WA, a mill finish, sprung curved Waveline. Again, this is a ferry terminal up in far north Queensland, where it's double-sided glacier white. Basically, we do have a library of our brochures, which you can access. These here are some of the items you can get. The first one, the one we're talking about, the residential one, is basically the fourth one across on the right-hand side at the top. That's the residential aluminium solutions. It'll have the full aspect of what we have offer. Basically, the contact details, the Sydney office there, the 4720-1900 is the best number to get you on, or either that or it's directly on the website. Basically, that is my presentation. So if anybody has any questions, let me know.
Yes, we do. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael. We don't have a lot of time, and some of the questions that were actually put into the Q&A, I think you have already answered. So the first question was what colours are available, but you did go through that there is a range of ColourBond colours and that there is a corresponding permalite colour to correlate. How does the aluminium roof perform in bushfire prone areas?
It's like anything, it would work. It doesn't burn. It's like steel in that aspect as ColourBond, but it's not just the sheeting by itself. In a bushfire application, it's the whole envelope of the building. It's going to be designed for a flame zone type aspect. There is other things, but aluminium will work in that environment as well.
Michael, could you just re-answer this question? I know you did touch on it, but does painting the aluminium assist in the corrosion resistance?
It does to a degree. It has an aspect. The basic aluminium has a certain component which will work. Painting with ColourBond paint finish or whatever does give that extra protection. It does influence, but you can use mill finish as well, so you will get that. But a lot of people tend to want to put the extra colour in there as well using a ColourBond paint. It does give you a slight assistance as well.
Okay. We have a question here from Peter. How do we get around flue and other penetranes through the roof structure, i.e. ColourBond, Zirconium, etc.? Similarly, heating and cooling units that are roof mounted. Sorry, I didn't say that word correctly either.
Okay. I assume part of that would be, for example, solar panels. I assume that's part of the question as well, installing it on roof. Solar panels can be installed on aluminium roof. We actually, Permalite actually supply a lot of aluminium for the solar areas that actually produce, and like solar farms, that is aluminium, fixed onto aluminium. On a roof or a house, you can put it on using it's no different to ColourBond. BlueScope now will allow it to happen, but you do have a bracketry system which does isolate it between the two, so you don't get the reaction between the both. In regards flues or any other penetration, it's no different to now. Most people around flues who haven't used Dectite, which the end of that is actually a stainless steel protection, but you can use those in conjunction with aluminium. No different to what you do in steel.
Great. We've just got a couple of questions in the chat which have just come up. So Gavin has said, I assume you have to be careful accessing aluminium roofs to avoid crushing ribs and corrugated profiles.
Well, it's no different to anything. Yes, it is lighter, but saying that is no different to standard custom orb. Like I said, the 0.42 custom orb is equivalent to about a 0.7 or a 0.9 aluminium. Walking on it, accessing it, and working it, it's no different to standard. I could show you many examples of standard custom orb steel which has been damaged. So you just take care. It's not a major issue.
Okay. And Bruce has just said fixings, preferred substrate to screw into other than AI, thermal bridging spacing.
Yeah, it can be screwed into timber or steel, as long as you have a barrier, this tape, isolation tape fixed down before you install it. So it does have that gap in between it. And using the stainless steel fasteners through that with the cappings and so forth will give you that protection as well.
Great.
I think there's a question popped up there about hail.
Yes.
have to get back to you on that. I know we do have a brochure on hail damage on steel. How that impacts on aluminium, I would have to verify that.
So we can take that question on notice, Bruce,
Yep.
and we'll come to you on that one if we can.
Yep.
We've actually run out of time. We did have a few technical difficulties at the beginning of the presentation, so
right.
I'm sorry that we're sort of having to wrap ourselves up now, but I don't see there to be any more questions. And if you do have a question for Michael, he did put his contact details on the last slide. Michael has also provided a copy of this particular presentation as well, so I will circulate that to everyone as well, so you can have a look at those various key slides that he was having a look at today. So thank you once again, Michael, and thank you everyone for joining us today. There is no QR code today. I need for all the BDAA members to go to your BDAA app, and I will talk you through the process. So you need to open up your BDAA app. You need to go to item number 2, which is add new CPD. You need to select number 3, which is chapter meetings and educational speakers. And you just need to put in the description of today's presentation and register for 1 hour and press submit. For everyone else, and including BDAA members, you will receive a certificate of attendance, which can also be utilised as an informal CPD point as well. Okay, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us, and thank you, Michael. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.